Hello and welcome to another video. I just got back from seeing the Warcraft film and I wanted to give like a few thoughts and comments about the film, maybe like a quick review, stuff like that. Just be aware that this will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film then please do so before watching this video, because I will be talking about several major plot points from the film. So if you don't want to see any of that, then please turn off now. So yeah, this is actually the first non-comic book film that I've seen this year in the cinema, because the other films I've seen have been Deadpool, Captain America: Civil War, Batman vs Superman, and X-Men: Apocalypse. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this film for a while. Thing is with this film, I've been playing the game since 2008. Yeah, mid 2008. So I am like quite heavily invested in the game at this point. So when I heard that they were doing a movie, actually several years ago, because they've taken the time doing it, I was like really excited. But at the same time, I'm really invested in the game, and the story of the game is its own thing. So with this film, I wasn't particularly all that fussed if it wasn't great, because I know that I've still got the game. That is the thing that I love first and foremost about the Warcraft franchise. So the film is kind of like something on the side, which if it's cool then great, if it's not then I'm not particularly fussed, which is it's quite different to how I felt about the Batman vs Superman film, because it's been a while since we've seen like a decent Batman film, and I wanted Batman vs Superman to be great, and I was really disappointed that it wasn't. But yeah, I went into this film with an open eye. I wasn't particularly impressed by the trailers. The CGI looked nice in the trailers, but the use of dubstep in them just really didn't fit with the tone. A lot of the looks of the characters didn't really fit with the tone. So I knew going in that there were going to be quite a lot of changes to the story from the game. I mean, it's a film. There were going to have to be quite a lot of changes. So I'm not that fussed that they changed quite a lot, because they did change quite a lot. So that was fine. There is like one major change towards the end, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But I really didn't like that change. But it's not because it was different from the game. It was because it was stupid. But I'll get to that. So first and foremost, the film looks amazing. I mean, the CGI work is absolutely fantastic. The locations, the CGI characters, they all look great. And the filmmaker Duncan Jones has gone, and the set design people, the design people have gone to like quite a lot of effort to make the locations look like what's in game, but also expand on that, because in game, the like for instance, the trade district of Stormwind has got like 20 buildings in game, whereas in the film there are like hundreds. You can see all of them. It's really expanded. So it does make it look like a proper city, and you see Ironforge as well, and that looks a hell of a lot bigger as well. So yeah, that all look great. The locations look great. Fantastic to look at. My one complaint in terms of the visuals would probably be there's kind of like a preference in a lot of modern movies to have the fight scenes, action scenes really fastly edited. Like you've got one shot, two shot, three shot, four shot, and when I was younger, I could kind of like follow that, but I think just as you get older, your brain can't really keep up with that many like changes in shot every second, every 2 seconds. So it can be hard to follow what's going on. That was my one complaint with the visuals, really. Um, I was disappointed that the music wasn't taken from the game. By which I mean, I know they wouldn't take the music like wholesale from the game, but I thought maybe they would take some of the themes and expand upon them with a movie orchestra and tie them in like that. The only real callback to the music from the games would be the first shot of Stormwind you see. You get the first few bars of the Stormwind music from the game, and that's it. That's all you get. And the rest of that is there's kind of like one overarching music theme going on throughout the film, and it repeats so much. Um, it's like this do 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 that kind of thing, and you just hear it so much. It's like it's burned into my brain. It's um, it's okay, but it's too dramatic to be played as often as it does. It becomes like really grating. But overall, yeah, the music was okay, but it was just a bit repetitive. And when one of the things that Warcraft is like better known for, better received for, is the music. Whatever people might say about the game, um, how some people think that the game has kind of like gone downhill since the early days. And I personally don't think so. I think the last expansion wasn't great, but I don't think it's kind of like on the downward slope. People have always kind of like come up and said, you know, at least the music's great, and it has been. It's one of the best things about the game, and it would have made sense to me to have the music producer from the game, this guy called Russell Brower, um, be somewhat in charge of the music for the film, and he wasn't. The composer that they got was the I forget his name. It's Ramin something. He does the music for Game of Thrones, which is great. You know, I love the music in Game of Thrones, but in this film, I think they could have kind of done a little bit of fan service and at the same time um, amped it up a little bit for the movie. You know, made changes where they needed to make changes, but still include snippets of themes and themes based on themes from the game. I think that just would have been an interesting thing to do, but unfortunately they decided not to do that. But you know, the music is what it is. It serves its purpose. It's fine. It's just not an outstanding part of the film. So yeah, that's that's the visuals and music. The story, um, the story isn't very good. I mean, they did take the main plot beats from that era of the game. It is based on events that happened in Warcraft One, which is the first Warcraft game, the RTS game, and it's since been kind of like expanded upon, and they've kind of like gone back and like changed a few things. They've retconned quite a lot. So you've got a story which is now kind of like quite famous in lore, and they have taken the beats of that story and put them in this film with some changes. But there were always going to be changes, like I said. So one thing that um, you find straight away, well, not so much straight away, but when is introduced, um, Khadgar, who is kind of like quite a powerful mage in Warcraft, and the apprentice of Medivh, who is the guardian of Azeroth. He's kind of like changed into the comedy sidekick, and it really doesn't fit the tone of the film at all. Um, he basically becomes the butt of everyone's jokes, and he is this really powerful guy, and I mean I'll come back to a little bit later how he's like quite unfairly treated, especially when it comes to how another character is treated alongside him. But so yeah, that is like the comedy in the film. Khadgar is the comedy. Um, but the film actually starts with the orcs on Draenor going through the dark portal for the first time. Gul'dan's built this portal, and they're going through it. They're sending like a warband through, and basically the orcs' goal once they reach Azeroth is to kind of like get as many human prisoners as possible to power up the dark portal some more so they can get the rest of the orcs through. That is like their main goal. Which is fair enough. It doesn't work quite like that in the game. It's kind of like the dark portal just works and they go through it. With the help of Medivh, who is like powering it from the other side. So yeah, they invade Azeroth, and you get to see a few locations. You get to see them like raiding and pillaging, taking prisoners and stuff like that. So the king sends out his own guys. Your main human character is Anduin Lothar. He is kind of like the guy that's in charge of the Stormwind army, I guess. And he's quite close to the king. His sister is the queen, so he's kind of like the king's brother-in-law, and he sends this guy out on like a mission to kind of like scout out the attacks, and they're ambushed by a bunch of orcs, and the orcs just start like come out of nowhere, just attack them, start killing a load of them, and one of the orcs is Garona, well half orc, half human, but she gets captured by Khadgar. Basically, everyone's being decimated, and Khadgar and Lothar and a couple others kind of like try and like fight them back, and they do eventually. And the humans' goal is to kind of like take prisoners to find out more about the orcs. So Khadgar captures Garona, and even then he is the butt of one of Anduin Lothar's jokes, where Lothar says, "Oh, you've caught the runt of the litter," because he doesn't think that Khadgar is very good at doing what he does. So so that's the first kind of bit of where you kind of like see him get used as the butt of everyone's joke, basically. Now they take Garona back to the throne room of Stormwind, and even then she is kind of like acting aggressive. She's saying that she could kill everyone in the room, and that's what she wants to do, and the guards still let her out. The king is like, fine, she's not dangerous, let her out of her restraints and what have you. And everyone's talking to her, saying like, you give us information, then we will set you free, you'll get your freedom. And everyone's like really, really nice to her. Now, this is kind of like one of my bugbears with the way that Garona and Khadgar are treated, because Khadgar is actually doing his best to help people, and he is helping people in quite a big way. He's the one who captured Garona. He's kind of like the catalyst for a lot of the major plot points going on, and he gets treated like shit by everyone. and Garona, who is part of an orc war party who ambush and kill the humans, and then gets captured and is still threatening people, gets treated like really, really well. And she almost gets treated like a friend, and she does actually become friends with the king. She become friends with Lothar first, because Lothar immediately trusts her for whatever reason, and later she gets in with the king, while everyone else is still calling Khadgar a dickhead for, you know, the heroic stuff that he's trying to do. So that was like one of my main bugbears. In terms of the story going forward, it's actually quite hard to follow, and I'm speaking coming from someone who like knows the story from the games, and I know it fairly well. I'm not like an expert or anything like that, but I know it fairly well. And I found a lot of the story hard to follow, and I can only imagine if you're going into the film without knowing too much about the game at all, you're not going to have any clue whatsoever about what's going on, because a lot of stuff is just not explained. A lot of characters are not properly introduced, and it's like, you know, these characters come up on screen, and I'm like, I know who that is, but does Joe Bloggs 2 seats away know who that is? And if he doesn't know who that is the movie telling him who that is? And the answer is no, generally. The kind of like heart of the film is like Lothar and Durotan, who's one of the chieftains of the orcs, and those seem to be the only characters that really get a lot of introduction, a lot of backstory. Most of the film is focused on Durotan and Lothar, and Durotan's story is basically he's one of the orcs that have come across along with his wife and his son, who will grow up to be Thrall. If you've played the games, you'll know who that is, but he is kind of like a future chieftain of the Horde. And his story is basically he doesn't like the way that Gul'dan is leading the orcs. He's Gul'dan, who is currently kind of like chieftain of the Horde, is taking the orcs down a very dark path, and they're kind of like, it's all like wanton destruction, and he's using fell magic, which is kind of magic that kind of like uses life energy and like drains life in order for it to work, which is why he needed kind of like souls to power the dark portal in the first place. And Durotan's story arc is he's trying to kind of like fight back against Gul'dan and trying to stop him, and he gets like the humans' help for that, and that's basically his story arc. He arranges a meeting in which they are ambushed. His clan, the Frostwolf clan, come to this meeting to meet with the humans. Lothar, the king, Garona, who is still like a prisoner of the humans, but she is essentially trusted at this point. So much that she's even like rewarded with a dagger to kind of like help defend herself, just to show everyone that they trust her. And at this meeting, they're ambushed by other orcs, and a bunch of humans are killed, a bunch of Frostwolf orcs are killed, and during this battle, Lothar's son is killed by one of the orcs, by Blackhand, and obviously that upsets him, as you might imagine. And after that battle, they retreat back to Stormwind, and Medivh, who is kind of like orchestrating things for the orcs from this side. I should point out before I go any further, his mother, was kind of like possessed or infested by the by Warcraft's like big bad Sargeras, and a little bit of Sargeras' spirit going to Medivh, and that kind of like pops up every now and then and like makes him do like bad stuff. It's that kind of stuff that brought the orcs to Azeroth in the first place. So there is good in him. He's not a bad person, but the like spirit of Sargeras inside of him is kind of like making him do this stuff. And what he does when they get back from this battle, there's like a disagreement between the way that that they want to go forward. Lothar thinks they should attack outright the orcs at the Dark Portal, because they're holding like thousands of humans prisoner, ready to use their energy to open the Dark Portal. And the king thinks it's better to basically contain the orcs, to basically post garrisons at certain points on Azeroth, to stop the orcs from like encroaching any further. Whereas Lothar thinks, we should go in there and we should just like finish him and get rid of him. But Medivh comes in and he starts taunting Lothar about the death of his son. And Lothar is obviously getting like quite worked up about this. Medivh is kind of like siding with the king and what the king wants to do, which is kind of like keep them contained. Lothar is obviously getting quite agitated because Medivh's winding him up, but he's still kind of like arguing his point, saying this is the best way to go. But because he's getting like really emotional because Medivh is kind of like winding him up, and saying like some stuff about his son, which just gets him like really riled up, like he wasn't ready and you sent him to war, so it basically blaming him for the death of his son. So he's getting really emotional, and the king sends Lothar to a cell to calm down. Which is fair enough. You're in like a war room. He's getting heated. Send him off to calm down for a bit. That's fine. He should have also said something to Medivh, because it's quite obvious what Medivh was trying to do, but that didn't happen. But fine. Send Lothar off to a cell, calm him down a little bit. What doesn't make sense is that they then go out to kind of like meet the orc forces in battle, while Lothar is still locked up. I mean, surely you send someone to a cell to calm down. You send them there for like an hour or something, just to chill out, then let him back, and then you carry on your merry way. And you kind of want the commander of your army there when you go and defeat the orcs, but they've kept him in this cell and gone to war without him, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He is eventually released from his cell by Khadgar. Khadgar actually like polymorphs the guard. He kind of like turns the guard into a sheep, and he helps Lothar to escape. But the king, he's already he's in battle with the orcs, and the orcs basically decimate Stormwind's army. And at the end, it's kind of like there are only a few like troops left of Stormwind's army. And this is a stupid part, which I mentioned earlier on. The king and Garona are left. They're kind of like standing back to back. The king says to Garona, when they're surrounded by orcs, it's no point both of us dying. If you kill me, you will be seen as a hero among your people, and then they will then look up to you and use your power to unite the two races together. Use your influence to bring the orcs and the humans together to stop the war. That is fucking stupid. That is absolutely idiotic. Seriously, what kind of thinking makes you think if you kill me, your people are going to see you as a hero, and then you can then use your influence to stop the war? That is bullshit. In the game, in the game story, Garona is actually controlled by Gul'dan. And I mean, she doesn't know it at the time, but again, she gets close to the king, becomes a friend of the king, and she gets controlled by Gul'dan while in Stormwind, and kills the king. She doesn't want to do it, but she is kind of like being controlled by Gul'dan. She kills the king, and that's how the king dies. But obviously, in the movie version, it's the king's choice that she kills him, and that just doesn't make any sense. It's just utterly stupid. I mean, the king is basically dying for nothing there. I mean, not to mention the fact that Lothar arrives like a couple of minutes after anyway, and could have saved them all, because he does kind of come down and save them all. But yeah, that just sticks in my mind as like a really stupid moment. So yeah, she kills the king with the dagger that she's been gifted, and Lothar comes down and sees that the king is dead, sees that the war chief is there, and he challenges the war chief to combat. This kind of like a Mukgara, which is basically a one-on-one fight thing. It's an orc tribal thing, and it's kind of like a fight to the death between two people, and whoever wins the Mukgara is kind of like free. Like if he can defeat the chieftain, then he's free to go. So he does. He defeats Blackhand, and he defeats Gul'dan. Or is it? No. I think it might be Gul'dan that he defeats first. And I don't remember. It kind of like mixed up a little bit in my mind. But he fights Gul'dan. He beats him, and then Gul'dan says that they should kill him anyway. But then all of his people turn on Gul'dan and say, you know, he's kind of like he's just won the Mukgara. This is a tradition of our people. You have to let him go. And so Gul'dan is well, his people kind of like disagree with him quite a bit on that. I don't quite remember how Gul'dan dies. I know it's kind of like the last 20 minutes of the movie is just kind of like blurred in my mind. I know that Blackhand dies, or does he? I don't remember. I don't know, but anyway, that's not particularly important. They get back to Stormwind, and obviously Lothar finds the dagger that was in the king, and sees it's a dagger that Garona gave to him, that they gave to Garona, sorry. And obviously he comes to the conclusion that Garona has kind of like betrayed them and killed the king. So yeah, so that means that like the animosity is still there, which is fair enough, really, because it is a film about like orcs versus humans and war, the sequel's probably going to be about war if there's a sequel, which I'm sure there will be. Um, but yeah, it's quite a convoluted story, and there are a lot of stupid bits in it. There's a lot of misplaced comedy. Medivh turns like full on demon mode towards the end, and Khadgar has to kill him. But one of the things that isn't quite explained, there's this kind of like theme running through the film, where Khadgar gets told, light comes from darkness, darkness comes from light, or something, and he doesn't quite know what that means. But he's in this final battle with Medivh, and Medivh is killed by this golem that he's created himself, but Khadgar is controlling, and Medivh is crushed by this. And there's kind of like this outpouring of fell magic from Medivh, which goes into Khadgar, and he's kind of like fighting against this this foul magic because it's like overtaking him. And he then remembers what he was told about in like darkness comes from light, light comes from darkness, whatever. And then he gives this expression kind of like, oh, so that's what that means. I understand now. And then he kind of like does this kind of like concentrated thing like that, and he causes this massive wave of power to come out of him and causes this huge explosion which gets rid of all the foul magic. And I don't actually know what he actually did. I don't know what that light and darkness thing is. I don't know what it is that he finally realized. And I don't know what caused the explosion. The explosion is something to do with this light versus dark thing, but I couldn't tell you what it is. And it's just a little bit strange, because it's just not explained at all. And I just don't get it. There's so much of this movie that just isn't explained. And coming from someone who's like played World of Warcraft since 2008, so that's like 8 years now, for me to still not understand what is going on with a lot of the characters and a lot of the events, I don't understand how someone who has not played the games is going to follow the story at all. It just doesn't make sense. Like I said, the film itself is very, very nice to look at. The CGI, especially on the on the orcs, is really, really good. The orcs look fantastic. The scenery of the locations and that all look fantastic. Some of the armor on the humans looks a little bit silly, but they have kind of like copied the game's aesthetic for that. So that is something of a callback to the game there. So I understand why they put that in. But in terms of story, I just, you've got to base a film on the story at the end of the day, and it is just not there for me. It is just the weakest factor of the film, and for me that kind of like drops the film from what could have been something really, really good, a really good fantasy film, into something that's, to be honest, kind of mediocre and below average. When you come out of a film and the best thing you can say about it is, at least it isn't as bad as Batman vs Superman, then you know that you've not really had a good time. And it's a shame, it's not something that has particularly bummed me out as much as it did at Batman vs Superman, because I wasn't expecting this one to be particularly great just from looking at the trailers and stuff like that. I'm glad I went to see it. I probably won't buy it when it comes out, but it hasn't put me off sequels. I'll still go and see sequels if they happen. But yeah, it just left me disappointed, really. And like I said, it's a shame, but it is what it is. If you're like into fantasy films and that kind of thing, then maybe you will get some enjoyment out of it. I mean, people have there have been some good reviews. Most of them have been average, like purely average. Yeah, it is what it is. It isn't great, nice to look at. Unfortunately, just not very well put together. And the director Duncan Jones, who's actually David Bowie's son, he's done several really good films in the past. I mean, Moon. If you've never seen Moon, go out and get it and have a look at it. It's fantastic. For a film which has one cast member in it, it is absolutely fantastic, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Source Code is pretty good as well, with Jake Gyllenhaal. But yeah, this one for me, it kind of like feels like maybe there was too many people involved in the making of it, and they were trying to go too far into the fan service thing, and it just kind of like destroyed the film. I wouldn't say destroyed. I mean, it's not the film isn't terrible. It's just below average, and it could have been so much more. But yeah, like I said, it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on Warcraft. By all means, if you have different opinions, pop them down in the comment section. I'm going to end this video now because my voice is getting really tired and sore. I've been talking for 40 minutes nearly, so I'm going to end it here. So yeah, by all means, go and see it. You might like it, but if you're not into fantasy films, and if you don't have at least some kind of inkling of the story, like going forward, then you're probably not going to get a lot out of it. But yeah, by all means, make your own mind up. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me down below. If you think I'm right, tell me down below, and I'll have a look at your comments there. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.